What is happening, my beautiful people? As you can see from the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about the PlayStation VR and if it's worth your hard-earned money in 2020. We'll cover everything from comfort all the way down to its video games and everything in between. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe down below, hit that like button, and if you have a PlayStation VR, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate and ask away. Here we go. Alright guys, the first thing we got to talk about is, of course, well, the PlayStation VR headset. This is the, I guess, bread and butter of what you guys think the PlayStation VR might be, even though this is not the actual processing unit itself. That thing hooks up to the actual PlayStation 4 console. When it comes to comfort, not gonna lie to you guys, this thing is incredibly comfortable. I mean, the fact that it has an adjustable thing right here on the back, you press it out, and you just kind of put your head in there. I'll have a video playing of me doing it. And you put it back in, you click on these, and it kind of tightens it up. And then on top of that, you also have this button up front that allows you to, go forward and backwards with the actual screen and really adjust it to your liking. Now, some negatives though about this. It's not right up in your face. Now I know some people say, oh, it's VR, it's not, like you don't want to freaking damage your eyes. What I mean by that is you can actually see the real life world underneath. If you look down a little bit, you can see the colors of the actual PlayStation Move controllers, which I'll get to in a second. That's a whole nother topic. But in overall use and comfort, sitting down and standing up, this thing is pretty comfortable. Some backdrops, though, are the fact that it has a wire that's kind of on the side, not somewhere on the back that you can kind of kick back behind you, not worry. It is on the side, so you will always kind of feel it, so it takes away from the experience a little bit, but not too much. When it comes to the actual screen on the inside, I gotta say, it's pretty decent. This is the most budget-friendly version of VR out there on the market, and for what you're paying for, you're looking at a pretty good resolution, and on top of that, you're looking at overall a pretty good image in front of you if you can make sure that you adjust it properly via moving, the front and the back, as well as tightening it up. But overall, pretty good on the comfort level side. The PlayStation Move controllers. This is the oldest piece of crap that you could have possibly put into this, Sony. This is PlayStation 3 technology. Number one, let's start with this. Bright as hell. Alright, like aforementioned beforehand, you could easily see these from under. If you look a bit down, not even too much, and you're holding your arms down in a standing up VR game, you can see the brightness of these things flat out. It takes away from the experience, alright? Not a good sign right there. Top of that, they do not have any motion trackers for individual fingers, alright? That's crazy in 2020. That's wild. I understand back in 2013. I don't understand why you're using this technology, why something new wasn't developed for it. You know what I mean? Now, the buttons, no complaints there. Very clicky, very responsive as a whole. Another cool little positive is the fact that they do track relatively well. Alright, there I can't deny that. But again, it's using this light technology because of the, PlayStation camera, and I don't understand that. It just baffles my mind. And if you play for a long time, let's say you're playing something like Blood and Truth, which is a 20+ hour experience, and you're going to spend 2.5 to 3 hours in that VR, per play session. These things just your palms get sweaty, and you got to hold on them, and it's just not comfortable as a whole. I get it for maybe if you're doing like a mini game, and if you're playing like a 30-40 minute experience. When you're playing really long, it gets annoying. Alright? Not a good sign here, PlayStation. You gotta make sure you do better next time. Now let's talk about the PlayStation camera. Now, I can't really grab into my hands because it's on my TV right there, but a few things. Number one, I don't like the fact that the camera only has a certain view angle, right? If you really don't set it up high and kind of looking down below you, it will not be able to track the actual, lights of your PlayStation VR headset, as well as your motion controllers, all the way down to the floor, and maybe even outside of the camera, outside of a little bit camera view angle. I don't like that. It's a very very narrow aspect. It's maybe a foot there that you can really move around and kind of make sure that your hands and your head is getting tracked. Not a good sign. With that being said, though, the quality of the PlayStation camera, just as a camera, not too bad. You can record videos in it if you really wanted to, but as a whole, it's relatively old technology, like relatively old technology. It's also PS3 technology. Let's be quite frank here, and it does the job. But that's about it, nothing more. Now let's talk about the most important thing, right? Hardware never pushes software. Software always pushes the hardware, point blank, period. All right? There's never been a console ever that has pushed video games. The video games always push the console. So let's talk about that. Some of the games, and I own quite a bit of VR games, Astrobot, phenomenal experience. One of my personal favorite experience on the actual VR, not a long experience, roughly 2 hours long, is Batman Arkham VR. This is more like a tech demo, but it was developed by Rocksteady in the Unreal Engine and utilizes everything to the best of its ability in PlayStation VR and is a really immersive experience in that. Probably my favorite experience of all time in VR, doesn't matter on VR or in general, is Blood and Truth. This is a full-fledged AAA game exclusively made for the PlayStation VR, and this thing is a sight to behold. Like, if you want a full-fledged interactive experience that you don't even have to stand up for, it's wild what they were able to do over there in London studios of Sony, and they achieved it with Blood and Truth. I mean, it's pretty ambitious, man. It's pretty ambitious, and it makes sure that you really feel like you are in that world and you are doing stuff, not just like a shooter on rails, right? Rick and Morty is amazing. Moss is a classic. You know, PlayStation VR Worlds, great mini games to play with friends. Come on, if you have Rick and Morty, you're gonna have Trevor. You know, Trevor Saves the Universe. Trover, I should say, Saves the Universe. This is a really fun game, and this is now a rail, shooter on rails. This is Until Dawn, Rush of Blood. This is really, 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 really fun. It is something that you can just pop on in for an hour, 2 hours, and have a good time shooting monsters and demons away. Right? So overall, when it comes to the software side of things, PlayStation VR has over 500 games, and these are just the physical games that I own. I own a few more digital games. They have other games like Doom VFR and Skyrim and so on and so on. There's a lot of titles to keep you busy on this unit. It all depends on what experience you are looking for, and as I aforementioned, 500 games, so there's probably an experience out there for you. If you're looking for a long, big AAA experience back to back to back, you're not going to get that. There's very few full-fledged AAA experiences on PlayStation VR, like Skyrim and like Blood and Rush, as well as a new Iron Man game coming up later in 2020. Outside of that, you're not really going to get a full-fledged AAA experience that's over 20 hours long, right? You're looking at games that are between 2.5, realistically, to about 5 hours a pop, right? Again, that's what you're on average looking for. Not saying they're bad games, but they're not long experiences that you can really enjoy and sink your teeth into. Alright, so now we get to the nitty-gritty. How do all of the aforementioned things create the PlayStation VR experience that you guys see in commercials and, overall kind of anticipate in your head? Well, number one, you have to realize that this is, as I said, a budget-friendly option, so the screen itself will have a screen door effect. The majority of VR nowadays have screen door effects. That's when you see kind of little, basically like a little net on the actual screen that's right nearby your eyes. If you think about it, it will take away from the experience. If you just let it be within the first few minutes of a game, it just kind of snaps away and you forget about it. But if you focus on it, it's going to be a drawback for you, right? And since this is a budget-friendly option, it's a bit more present than in other VR headsets. The games themselves play phenomenally, run really well. Now, I do run from a PS4 Pro, so, for example, some of my load times are much faster, draw distances are much more improved, and overall textures are a bit more sharp on the actual PlayStation VR display, right by my eyes than it would be from a regular PS4. But you will still experience a really good image when you're playing on a regular base PS4 model. I will say, though, that sometimes you will get motion sickness, like a game like Blood and Truth when you're sitting down and you click a button and he actually walks there without you physically walking, and instead of teleporting, your brain goes, whoa! That was a little bit weird. And it took me a few times of playing a game like that to really get my brain to go like, okay, I'm cool, I get it, this is just a VR experience. You will get some motion sickness. It's going to happen. It's basically you're breaking it in, as they say. However, once you get past that and you play really good immersive games that require you to stand up, like let's say Batman Arkham VR, you really get sucked into the world and all the little things you can interact with and see and experience. The little headphones that they have included with the PlayStation VR headset are virtual surround sound and really add to the experience, so you can really forget where the hell you are. Which leads me to a bit of a drawback as well, because because it's not the most longest of cables on the PlayStation VR headset. It is long, don't get me wrong, but it's not the longest. You might yank it sometimes, and because it's on the side and not all the way in the back where you can kind of, you know, not worry about stepping on it, you are going to have sometimes where you step on it, and that will take away from the overall experience. But as a whole, not bad and definitely worth the price of it currently on the market. So, now the price point. The price point currently for the bundle that I had personally purchased, I'll leave a link down in the description from Amazon, is the $349 bundle, which includes the headset, the camera, the 2 motion controllers, as well as a physical version of Blood and Truth and a digital version of everybody's favorite Golf VR. Is it worth the price point? 2 things. Yes and no. Yes, if absolutely you have at least 10 more games that you want to play, right? I know for a fact I personally had over 20 games that I wanted to experience in VR, so I was like, this is the bundle for me. And the price point was not bad at all. If you're someone that only wants to play something like Batman, Rick and Morty, and Skyrim, just give you an example, it's not going to be worth the $350 price tag. It's just not going to be worth it. But it's also an investment because PlayStation VR will be supported with PlayStation 5 before the next iteration comes out. So this is something that Sony really wants to push into, and they're going to redevelop the entire piece of hardware for the next generation of consoles when the next iteration comes. So if you want to kind of break into it and get a little, you know, a few steps ahead of everyone else in the game and experience it and have this as a collector, 100% worth it. But if you're just looking to experience a few games and never put it back on, absolutely not. Do not spend the money. Wait until it's about, you know, $150 or less. If this video was any help with you guys, please make sure to let me know in the comment section below, and I hope to guys see you in the next one.
I've been so alone ever since I left the tribe. That's just how it goes, 'cause I like the